Welcome to another edition of the Coach Chris Hatcher Show. I'm your host, Kevin Blackwell, and of course, each week I'm joined by the top Bulldog himself, Chris Hatcher. On Saturday, Samford opened up its conference schedule with a decisive 27-3 victory over VMI. With the win, the Bulldogs moved to 2-2 on the season. Coach, all wins are good wins, but conference wins seem to be very special, don't they? And they're hard to come by.
They are. Well, all wins are hard to come by, but especially in our league due to the parity that takes place in our league each and every year. Very thankful for our fans who showed up, especially our students. Had a great atmosphere. I thought from start to finish our guys had control of the game, and it was just a good way to open SoCon play, especially off the long layoff that we've had due to the hurricane and the bye week being back-to-back.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the defense. Once again, the defense has another great game. After giving up an opening 60-yard, 8-minute drive and in a field goal for VMI, the Bulldog defense took control, not allowing VMI to cross midfield except one time the rest of the game. Coach, we knew that success for winning was to stop the run, and of course, the VMI running back, Hunter Rice, he's an all-conference type of back, a big, strong guy. To hold him to 2.5 yards per carry says a lot about our defensive play.
No question. We played outstanding defensively. I think we held them to 44 yards rushing on the evening. That was a big key. We knew they were a big run-first team. The first drive was a little concerning. I didn't know offensively we would maybe get one or two possessions there in the first half, but we bowed our necks, forced a field goal, and from that point forward, we just played dominating on defense. Had a great interception run back to the 5 or 6 yard line by Midnight Stewart that set up a touchdown. And then we just pretty much cruised to victory there in the second half.
Without a doubt. Well, that interception you mentioned by Midnight Stewart, I thought was really one of the biggest plays of the game right there at the end of the third quarter. It just seemed like, of course, after that play, we get the touchdown, kind of nailed things down at that point. What an incredible play by Midnight Stewart.
Well, it really was. You know, offensively, we had a great first drive to start the third quarter that resulted in a missed field goal to keep the score, I think at the time, 17-3. And you know, as good as we were playing, I thought in all three phases, you look up and, God, there's not a big differential in the score. You know, it's just a two-score game, but that one really opened the floodgates, put us ahead. I think after that play, 2 plays later, Quincy found E.J. Mason in the left corner of the end zone for a fade ball to put us up 24-3. And really at that point, you know, we felt like the game was pretty much in ours to win at that point.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Quincy Crittenden, he finishes the game 26 of 30, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns. Coach, it just seems like Quincy is really beginning to kind of find his rhythm and his confidence, particularly being a leader of that offense, and with only 4 incomplete passes in the game, which doesn't happen a lot, the efficiency of his passing was really impressive.
Well, I think that's the key. He was very efficient in running the offense. We spent a lot of time on just base fundamentals, base plays, base operational procedures during the bye week. He went out and executed a high level, threw some really nice touch balls in the back of the end zone, three different occasions, 2 posts, 1 to Brendan Jenkins, 1 to E.J. Mason, and then a nice fade ball to E.J. But just as important, we were able to run the ball well offensively. We picked some big chunks up in some of our counter gap schemes. I thought that we executed really well, especially the first 2 series of the game, which it was good to see that we came out of the gates fast offensively for the first time all season.
Without a doubt. Well, speaking of E.J. Mason, it's probably his best game as a Samford Bulldog. You know, we've been waiting on E.J. to have that breakout game. This kind of felt like it was going to be, and it was. And 7 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Talk about E.J. and his development and particularly his play on Saturday.
Well, he's a big physical receiver that is very difficult to tackle. We got to find more ways to get him the ball in open space. But he played well. I thought that he blocked good, which is something we pride ourselves in at the receiver position. But again, hopefully this was the breakout game that he needed to get his confidence, because we do think he could be a really good receiver in our offense and one of the best in this league if he'll continue to work hard each and every week.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, in your post-game interview, you talked about the need to be more efficient and scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Yet, what are some keys in finding success, particularly inside the 10-yard line? How does that change your play calling there inside the 10?
We run a lot of the same plays in that area, a little bit different formations. Just the field gets a little compressed, so there's some things that you have to stay away from. One thing that VMI did is they present a defense that's very difficult to prepare for. Actually, they play 3 or 4 different schemes. You're just not real sure which one you're going to see that week, and they do a good job with it. I have great respect for their DC and their head coach. And they actually came out and played us a little differently than we anticipated. So we were a little conservative there in the red zone area. But we got to get better there. We got to get more efficient. We got to start scoring touchdowns, and a lot of that will hopefully just be better play calling and better execution.
Well, Samford will play the East Tennessee State Buccaneers on Saturday, October the 12th. Game set for 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Start from Johnson City, Tennessee. TSU comes into the game with 3-3 record, but have had some good wins this year and also played North Dakota State down to the wire a few weeks ago. Coach, talk about our first SoCon road contest and what we can expect from the Buccaneers.
Well, first of all, they're, again, like every team in this league, they're very well coached. They have a new staff. Trey Lamb's taken over, who I have a track record with. He was the quarterback coach at Mercer. He is a former quarterback at Tennessee Tech when I was the coach at Murray State, and his uncle's Bobby Lamb, the great coach at Mercer and Furman. So he knows this league well. He's done a tremendous job everywhere he's been. He was fortunate that he had a lot of his players from Gardner-Webb go with him after they went to the playoffs 2 consecutive years, which I don't think has ever happened in Gardner-Webb's history. So a big feather in his cap, but they're a very athletic team. They're very physical. You go up to Johnson City, they have a tremendous following. Their crowd's very difficult. And again, it's going to be a tough Southern Conference football game. So we must travel well. We got to have a good week of preparation. It's the same song each week. You're just going against a different opponent. But what we preach to our guys, every week's a new opportunity. It's going to bring new challenges to you. And the best teams handle those well in leading up to preparation, and they earn the right during the week to expect to win on Saturday. Hopefully we can do that this week.
Absolutely. Well, the game will be televised on ESPN+. Hope you'll tune in for that. And I hope you will go ahead and make your plans to be at Pete Hanna Stadium for our next home game against the Mercer Bears, scheduled for October the 19th. And yes, tickets are available at SamfordTickets.com. Well, Coach, good luck on your road tests this week. We'll be pulling for the Dogs, and we'll be tuning in, rooting hard for you.
Well, we appreciate you. And again, like I said, we appreciate all our fans, and hopefully they'll tune in and bring us to victory across the television, if you will. And then, of course, we have the big homecoming game the following week, which gives everybody 2 weeks, Kevin, to go out to our buddies at Onward Reserve and get their game day fit when we come back here to Pete Hanna Stadium in a couple weeks. But we're excited. It was a big win for us last week, and we hopefully that we can get another one this week as we travel on the road.
Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Chris Hatcher Show. Make sure you tune in next week where hopefully we're talking about a big Samford win.